What's going on, guys? Welcome back to 100% Chelsea and welcome to your opposition preview for Chelsea versus West Ham in the Premier League. Obviously at Monday Night Football, joined by Dan from West Ham Fan TV. Mate, how you doing?
Not too bad, Lou, not too bad. Good to see you again. You know what the funny thing I was just realising, because it was the 1 year anniversary of Ray Wilkins' death, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Last time I was here, he just died, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a year, yeah.
I was looking at Twitter yesterday and like some of the clips and some of the stuff for Ray Wilkins, you know, it was amazing. And you know, I could tell he was proper Chelsea. He was no matter if he was at Man United, when he was at AC Milan, you could tell he was a great footballer as well. So you know, obviously football did lose someone amazing a year ago. So obviously, condolences to the Wilkins family a year on. But mate, look, going into the game this weekend, or this Monday, it's not even weekend anymore. Yeah. Bloody Sky. Look, how are you feeling? Do you think you guys can come and do a job on us, or are you slightly worried based on previous results?
Look, I'm not overly confident. I mean, Scott from our channel, he seems to think that we're going to do you guys. Obviously, you're not at the height of your powers, but there's something about Stamford Bridge. You guys are very strong there, especially against us. We don't often get something at Stamford Bridge. However, we're so inconsistent that we played so badly against Everton. I can really see us turning up and putting a performance, and we have got a few draws here over the years. Yeah. If I'm realistic, I can see us getting a draw. You guys have been a bit inconsistent. You've just smashed Brighton, so
I wouldn't say smashed. I say it was a boring first half. We got a scrappy goal, and then there was two wonder goals basically. Yeah. But other than that, I don't think we were really that amazing. Kept the ball, but it wasn't anything special.
3-0 and a clean sheet. Clean sheet there.
Standard, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't grumble at that. Nah. So you smashed Brighton. Well, we smashed Brighton when we went there, but that's for another video.
We did.
Yeah. So I can see us putting in a good shift. We have to after that shocker against Everton. Them players need to turn up. Yeah. So yeah, I could see a draw. I've given my prediction away early in the video.
Okay, so I mean, well, a draw I can see as well. I can see it being very scrappy.
You're always more pessimistic when I see you're always pessimistic. Yeah. And so am I in a way. So we're always like, no, you're going to win. No, you're going to win. Like,
no, stop it, you're going to win. Yeah. But no, like, if you go into the sides now, obviously the usual format, looking at previous form first, obviously you lost to Everton 2-0. I think that no one expected that really. Everton are now on a decent run. They're looking solid. They are. You look at are they above you now? Or are you looking over your shoulder?
They've just gone above us, and this is the thing, right? And look, I'm not having a dig at Everton or anything, but Everton didn't have to be good in that game. Everton really didn't need to come out second gear. We were so bad. It was our worst performance of the season. Absolute worst performance of the season. So it's not that Everton were so amazing that game. It was we were so bad, and that's to take nothing away from Everton. If we did play well, they still would have won, and it would have pushed them on. I don't know, but all I'm saying is, it wasn't so much a great Everton performance. It was a terrible West Ham performance. I'm still fuming about it now. I'm absolutely livid when I'm remembering it. And it's just what we've seen so many times this season. Every single time that 7th is within our grasp, but we completely bottle it. It's like we don't even want 7th. It's like you guys don't want top 4. In a way, like it's like we're both trying our hardest not to get into Europe. So. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Do you think you can get into Europe? I mean, obviously you don't do it this year. Manuel Pellegrini, he's got 1 year left on his deal after this, hasn't he?
I think it's, as far as I remember, I'm sure it was a 3-year deal. I think it might have been a 3-year deal, so he might have 2 years left on it. If I remember, I could be wrong, but I think...
Is he the right guy to build and go forward? What's it been like being under Pellegrini at West Ham this season?
Yeah, I mean, with Pellegrini, look, I've always said, like, I'm going to give him this season. When you're coming into West Ham and you look at the seasons that we've had previously and the style of football we played, we've just come from David Moyes. It's a complete rebuild. We bought like 11 new players in or something like that in the summer. So all these new players, a completely new way of playing. There's still some of that old West Ham mentality that seems to be creeping in, and he's got to fight that. So at the moment, I think he's the right man. And he's a Premier League winner. He's got a good track record at most of the clubs he's been at. It's just some of the players. There seems to be this blacker mentality there, and he's drilling it into them. Play like a big team, but they seem to think that play like a big team means that you can just turn up against anyone and not have to put a shift in, which is completely the opposite.
100%. I mean, I think Pellegrini was an amazing appointment by West Ham. I mean, some of the stuff that you guys have done over the past, 2-3 years. So the players you signed this summer, the manager you got in, it does seem that there's a bit of intent from Gold and Sullivan and the board at West Ham, which kind of surprised me based on previous. Do you think that their want and their hunger from this summer can be continued this summer, or do you think it's just a case of they wanted to shut you guys up as fans based on last season, and obviously, for example, the stuff that happened at the Burnley game and the riots and all the other stuff that was happening at the London Stadium?
The thing is, I think with Pellegrini, I think with Bilic and with Moyes, they didn't have managers that they were truly confident in. Bilic wasn't a first choice; he was like fourth choice. Moyes was a stopgap. So there is that element of they didn't completely trust them with the money. So Pellegrini came, who was their first choice. They wanted. They gave him the money. However, I think there is a little bit of that, like, right, we're going to go all out. There is a bit of fan unrest because I'm hearing, and look, I'm not, until I see it, I can't fully believe it, but I'm hearing rumours about a £25 million budget before sales.
Is that it?
Yeah, £25 million. So it's not a lot. And that's the thing. Yeah, we spent 100 million last summer. You have to build on that. We still need a massive rebuild on this team. So 25 million. Obviously, if we sell any players, that gets added. But when you look at what we've got, Lucas Perez, what are we going to get for him? Really, Andy Carroll's going to go on a free. Obiang. What are we going to get for Obiang? Be lucky to get 10 mil. So we're not going to raise a massive amount of player sales unless we do sell Arnie to China.
I could see that happening. Arnautovic, obviously now we've spoken about your form and everything. When we move on to big threats and obviously weaknesses in the West Ham side, Arnautovic, fast, physical, doesn't take any shit, a proper centre forward. Arnautovic is one to be feared, isn't he? Obviously, but he's not been as heavily utilised, I'd say, in the 11 over the past few weeks. I've noticed he's been sat on the bench. He's not really been as pivotal he was at the beginning of the season. Why is that the case?
Obviously, Pellegrini initially dropped him with the whole rumours about the China stuff. Didn't think his head was in the right space. Then had him on the bench, coming off the bench, and then gradually sort of reintroduced him. There's a big sort of split with West Ham fans. I think I'm in the minority when I'm sort of like, in support of Arnautovic, in a way of like, I think a lot of the criticism he's got recently has been unfair. A lot of people booed him off when he came off against Everton, even though he was the only guy trying and hardly got any support. This is the problem, and that's the thing that negates that threat, is when he gets up there, he takes the ball right up the pitch, there's no player near him, everyone's jogging up there, so he's trying to hold the ball and has got to beat like 3 players to get into the box and try and have a shot at goal. So if you haven't got anyone there to support you, what's he going to do? And people just assume that he's lazy, like I said, even though he's the only one who's actually putting the shift in and he's playing with an injury, which Pellegrini confirmed. You could see the way he's walking, like this guy plays through injuries, but yet the fans just constantly dig him out. And this is what I was saying on post-match Pint, that some people misinterpret the whole Payet thing. Our fans still worship Payet to this day, even though the way he left and how he left. Now, to dig at Arnautovic for the whole wanting to leave thing, but praise and worship Payet. I know Payet was a better player.
At the time, though, Payet was being called a snake, and he wasn't as loved.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But now, in the same week that you'll go looking back and worshipping Payet, you're vilifying Arnautovic, who is still at this club. Whereas Payet protested down tools and said, "Listen, I'm not playing. You better sell me now." And this is what I'm saying. I know Payet was a better player, but still, Arnautovic, when he's on form, is our best player. And that doesn't matter about who the best player is. It's about your attitude. Yes, the whole, wanting to leave, it's not good, and it sort of changes mindset. But he's still at the club. Payet left. So if be consistent with your opinions is what I would say, and that just really winds me up. So I went on a bit of a rant on post-match.
Well, no, I completely agree with you. I think there's definitely instances where, I am no stranger, and I'm not exactly exempt from vilifying Chelsea players, for example, or calling them out for when I think they perform badly, and obviously players that haven't stepped up when they should have done and then left under a cloud. I think Thibaut Courtois is a prime example. I love ripping the shit out of Thibaut Courtois, but it's kind of the case of there's I agree with the Arnautovic thing. I think the thing that you guys have. Arnautovic is your Eden Hazard, in my opinion. I think he is your player, which he can drag you to 3 points if you need it, or to that point, and really make a massive difference. Obviously, we were linked with him in January as well as China, and I think that it's kind of a case of looking at him as a player. I see him as a massive threat. If he's playing through injuries, he's not as good at the minute. Who is going to be, your key threats and the big game players that we have to worry about on Monday night?
It's a tough one. If you're not looking, Addison was injured against Everton. I haven't seen Pellegrini's press conference today to see what he's saying, but if he's back, obviously when he's on form, he's a threat. Nasri hasn't been able to keep his fitness, but he's one of our biggest creators of chances. Now Lanzini, Everton was probably one of the poorest games I've ever seen him play for us. The Everton game, he was poor, but he loves to turn up in London derbies, and he likes to score in London derbies. So I would say Lanzini. I think this is where Lanzini comes back into form, and he scores a goal against you guys. So that's the threat for me.
What are your weaknesses?
The weaknesses is the midfield. We seem to get severely overrun in the midfield. We haven't got, it's like we was playing Obiang, you can't do anything. It's like you've got Rice there, who's sort of like the only sort of guiding light.
I love Declan Rice. He's an unreal player. Obviously Chelsea Academy graduate as well. Another one we let go.
Yeah. Well, it's I know it's the story of your academy's careers. Obviously, yeah, he left your academy, came to our academy, didn't he? And came through, yeah. And unbelievable player. And that's the thing. Like he was the only one of the players that you just couldn't have a go at, because like the tackles that he puts in are just amazing. Like, and the way he can win back the ball, and he's just he plays beyond his years. So that's a bit of a positive. Diop is, has been an amazing defender, but has dropped down a little bit. So set pieces is definitely where you could get us. Our defending at set pieces is horrendous, probably one of the worst in the league. I think we've conceded more set pieces than any other team in the league.
I think we're very close. I don't think our set pieces are that great either. I mean, Scott, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I think it's a case of we haven't conceded many recently, but at the same time, we like to go with zonal marking for some reason. But it's beyond me. But I think you're speaking about the midfield. You're speaking about set pieces. Giroud, Loftus-Cheek, Rudiger, David Luiz. I think that definitely could be somewhere where you're saying we could expose you. But move on to the final part. Let's talk about your predicted 11. Who are we most likely going to see in a West Ham shirt at Stamford Bridge on Monday night?
All right, bear in mind, I haven't seen the players, the fitness and things like that. I don't know if this is one we'll see Balbuena come back in, so I'm going to play it safe and say Ogbonna and Diop keep their positions. Then you've got Aaron Creswell probably on the left. Fredericks is injured again, so it's going to be Zabaleta. Declan Rice, definitely. I'd like to see, I think we'll see Mark Noble come back into the midfield.
One of West Ham's greatest players.
And he's another one who loves a London derby. And we probably could have done with him, like I said, he's not someone that you'll say is one of the greatest technical players, but he's that model of like an old school footballer.
He is. Well, I know I sound like I take the piss when I say Mark Noble is one of your greatest players. Yeah. I do semi-take the piss because he's, like you said, he's not exactly the world's best central midfielder or an absolutely unreal player. But the thing about Mark Noble is he gets the dirty work done, and he does a good job of doing so. Obviously, if you get a penalty, that's going to be going away as well. Yeah. But I think you're saying that you're going 3 in midfield.
So we'll have Mark Noble. Then let's have a look. Wingers. If Anderson's fit, I think Anderson comes back in. You got Anderson. You probably have Rice and Noble. Then you'll have Anderson probably on the left, Lanzini, and then you'll probably have, if it's just a toss up, whether he starts Antonio or Snodgrass. I think I'd like to see Antonio come in on the right. And then Arnautovic up front. I mean, we've got hardly anything up front. I mean, that's. I'm not going to lie. Just that team on paper. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been that worried about West Ham. But now I hear this team, and that's unreal. That's a great little lineup. And considering we're riddled with injuries, Yarmolenko was brilliant for us until he got injured. You've got Jack Wilshere, who's, you know...
Always been injured.
Yeah, he's...
What is it? Is he going to get a new deal, or do you reckon you're going to let him go?
Rumour has it, well, it's whether like he'll be he's not getting so much a new deal, but whether he'll be released. I'm hearing they're going to give him one more season, which I would like to see. I'd like to see him get one more season just to prove his fitness, like and to see if he can stay fit, because he played a lot of games for Arsenal last season. Yeah. For Bournemouth, he only got injured from a horror tackle right near the end of the season against Tottenham.
He was going to go in the squad for the. Was it what? There was a squad that was coming up for England, wasn't there? And he was if he was going to be in it.
Yeah, I think, but then he got that injury. So yeah, I'd like to see him get one more chance. Winston. I mean, we're riddled with injuries, which hasn't really helped us at all. But yeah, and then up front, I mean, you've got bloody Perez, who's just honestly one of the worst performances of any West Ham player I saw against Everton. He was invisible. Like we basically had 10 men. How he lasted to the end of the first half, I do not know. He was just like, we was pumping it long to him for what reason, I don't know, and he just weren't jumping for anything. Andy Carroll injured again, bye-bye. We'll never see him again in a West Ham shirt, which I think it's, you know, I mean, he's given us some great memories, but nah.
I could see him going back to Newcastle, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, if they want to pay him the money, like, that's it. But there's a lot of West Ham fans were saying, like, what's going to happen? We're going to release him. Then when we don't sign any strikers, or we fail to sign enough strikers, we'll get him back, like what we did with Carlton Cole when we let him go and signed him back at the end of on deadline day. That was
I remember that.
classic West Ham banter, that was. So up front, I mean, we're sorely lacking. So if we do let Arnie go, we have got like 4 strikers to sign, essentially 3 to 4 strikers. So, yeah.
We'll give you Morale if you want him.
Well, some West Ham fans were up for it, but no, I mean, yeah, I know.
You can have him, mate. It's all right.
I know. Like, I was like, no, thank you. I mean, I've seen him miss some absolute sitters. He missed a big sitter. I think it was last season against us at our ground. Like,
he missed another one this season as well. He missed 2.
Unbelievable. Like, and this is the thing. Like, we get these players that, and it'd be like a sort of like a Perez situation, I think. You know, he was good in Europe, but then he came to the Premier League and, you know, didn't really do well. And then we thought maybe at West Ham we can bring it out of him, and then it just doesn't happen, and they're even worse. You know, like if he can't do it with like players like Hazard. Why did I say Hazard? Hazard and like round him. How's he going to do it at West Ham? You know, with Snodgrass and things like that playing into him, and you know, so. Yeah, no thanks, mate.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll glaze over that, but finally, give me a score prediction. Before, actually, you didn't say keeper. Fabianski and go, I'm guessing.
Fabianski, yes, Fabianski. He's been unreal. I feel so sorry for Fabianski. Like, the amount of goals that man has conceded, were none of his fault. Hardly any of the goals. Like, maybe like 3% of the goals he's conceded, he could have done better in. He has been an unbelievable signing. He's up there for going to be up there for Hammer of the Year. Some great saves. If we didn't have him, we'd be probably in a relegation scrap. Like, he's been brilliant. So yeah,
he single-handedly nearly saved Swansea last season, and I think without him they definitely would have gone down earlier than they did. But I mean,
most saves in the league.
Yeah. I mean, that's always a good sign, but obviously you have to face the shots. And, you know, I honestly think, I know you're saying you've got a 25 million budget. If you were to sell on Arnautovic, you probably get about 50 million for him, up your budget to 75 million. I think you could sign a couple of players who would definitely improve. And I could see you guys going for a European spot. But we'll move on to that. We'll talk about that more in the preview on West Ham Fan TV, so make sure you check that out. But finally, Dan, score prediction.
I'm going to have to go with 1-1.
1-1?
I can't see us scoring any more than 1 because we've barely been scoring. We've barely had any shots at all. It's horrendous. Like, hardly any shots on goal, hardly any shots. We become one of these teams that like to just pass it into the back of the net, like Wenger's last years at Arsenal.
Join the club, mate. That's how it feels for us at the minute.
You know, so yeah, if we do score, it will be 1 goal, and I can see it. 1-1. Maybe a Mark Noble penalty or a Lanzini bit of magic. You know, so you know, I'm hoping. Like I said, a win would be amazing, but
I hope you don't get the win. But listen, ladies and gents, obviously make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea, all social media description, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram.
Wait,
also,
before we go, I want to ask you, right? I want to ask you a question. Are you going to come on my other channel, Dan Damo and Jace, and do this chili? Eat this regret hot sauce?
No, because I never agreed to it.
Yeah, but like now I'm putting it on.
But
will you agree to it now in front of all your subscribers? Will you man up, come on and try the regret challenge?
No. I'm not 14 years old. Oh, let's see your chili.
It's not
Chili challenges.
It's
Mate, it's so YouTube 2013. You can tell you're getting on a bit. Anyway, listen, ladies and gents, make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea. All social media links down in the description for Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we are up for an FBA, so make sure you head across to the Football Blog and Awards website and vote for us in the best overall football. No, best, sorry, not best overall, best club content category. Vote for Lawrence in the best international category and Jan in the best women's category. And
I'm voting for the other Chelsea channel now.
well, they're not in it, so.
I would if they
Exactly.
was.
You would have, but they're not. Anyway, guys, just make sure to subscribe. Take care. We'll see you later. Head across to West Ham Fan TV to see me piss off Danny even more. Take care.